I'm processing what's happened, and I just want to talk about it because I've just been, I don't know, keeping it in, talking to myself, talking to my mom, just feeling like I just need to talk it out and share what's happened and how I'm feeling. I don't know if I'll actually post this video. It's been helping me, and feeling some comfort is just watching other people's videos like this or reading other people's experiences, and that's what's been really helping me. So I just felt like I wanted to share my experience. So I guess I'll just start from, the beginning when I found out I was pregnant, September 28th, and we were trying, and it happened on the first try. Very thankful that we were able to get pregnant again, in general. So, and that they always say that's a good sign that you got pregnant, and it is. Like an hour later when he got home from lunch, and then we told our family that week. That I was like 5 weeks at this point, and then yeah, so we just told people, and part of me was nervous because there's always that uncertainty, I feel like, but I had such a healthy pregnancy with my first son, Wilson, who's 14 months now, that I felt comfortable, and I don't know, I trusted my body a little more, but I even was, nervous. And then 5 weeks comes around a couple days after we had told a decent amount of people. I bled. I'm going to talk about blood probably in this because that's just like the reality of, what happened. So, anyway, 5 weeks I bled, and it felt like I started my period, like that first feeling. When you get that, I don't know, if you're a lady and you have periods, you probably know. It's just that feeling. It's like, oh no. But when you find out you're pregnant and then that happens, I was like, no, no, no. So, call my doctor. They tell me to go get my blood drawn. They said, if it lasted for maybe an hour. Soaked one pad, lasted an hour, and then I didn't bleed again. And so when I went in to get my blood drawn, I still felt hopeful. And then I got the results back about 2 hours later, and they were really confusing. Maybe I'll post a screenshot because it was my results for my HCG, and it was at 10,000, and I would have been 5 weeks. But then there was like a little section. I'll post the screenshot because it was confusing, because then it said your value, non-pregnant female, something 10.3 average, or like the range, I don't know. So it was just like comparing what not a pregnant female would be, and then letting me compare it to mine, which was 10,000. But I thought maybe they rounded from 10,000 to 10.3. I was just so confused at that point, and I'd already kind of thought I lost the baby. And after I got those results, I was so sad. I told Bobby when it happened, it would have been like, I think we lost the baby, like the baby's gone. And then the nurse called me in after hours. I was on, and I'm like, okay, sounds good. So I'm pregnant, and she's like, oh my gosh, yes, sorry I didn't leave with that. And so that was a huge relief, obviously. I was spending the last like 3 hours thinking I miscarried, and that was it, like just that blood, and that was it, and the baby was gone. But I was pregnant, and my HCG was at 10,000, which is normal for what I was at 5 weeks, but my progesterone was low. It was at a 12, and she said we like it at a 15. So I got progesterone and was taking that every night. And of course now, I missed 2 or 3 nights. And of course, you just hate on yourself like every time I missed it. I'm like, mad at myself. Anyway. So everything was seemingly fine. I was really growing. My belly was getting really big, really early, like 6 weeks. I'll post a picture, or 7 weeks. I definitely had a bump. Like I wasn't like bloated. I mean, I was bloated, and I remember being really bloated with Wilson, but it felt so bloated with Wilson. With this, it felt like I didn't feel bloated. Like I woke up in the morning and had a little bit of a bump. I was so hungry every day, which, and nauseous and tired, but I wasn't as nauseous or tired this time, which I thought, oh, that's good. Anyway, everything seemed fine. But the whole time, you know, before you go see your baby, or if you've never been pregnant before, or if you have been pregnant before, you know, before you go to your first appointment, at least for me, there was the last 2 times that I've been pregnant, just this time and then with my son Wilson, nervous, just like not, you don't know, like it's not confirmed. You just, they're like, you can't feel the baby yet. You can't, you haven't seen a healthy baby, so you just don't really know if everything's okay. And so, like with my first son Wilson, I actually had my first appointment when I was 7 weeks, because they thought it was like 8 weeks. But the calculations or something, it was really 7 weeks. And then I went again at 9 and then again at 12. With this baby, they were like, okay, they set my appointment up for when I was 10 weeks, which would have been like this week. And then this last week on Sunday, I started bleeding, and you know, they told me that the first bleeding when I was 5 weeks was probably implantation. On Saturday, Sunday, I kind of just assumed it was from, you know, being active. And so Sunday I bled the whole day. But it wasn't heavy. It was very light. It was, you know, just a little bit throughout the day. And then it kind of stopped in the evening. And I was really nervous, but I wasn't that concerned about it. And now thinking about it, I wish I would have gone in, just because maybe I could have seen the baby, but I'll get to all that, I guess. But anyway, that was on Sunday that I was bleeding, and then it wasn't that concerning. I said, oh, I'll just call my doctor in the morning. The next day, around noon, I put Wilson down for a nap, and a little bit later, I felt a gush of blood. And it wasn't that concerning as the first time. It was less. It wasn't a ton, but I would say, I called my OB and I said, hey, I've been bleeding yesterday, and then today I just had a little bit more, probably fill a pad. Like I had to change my clothes. And so I was like, okay, it's fine. They said, okay, just go get your blood drawn, and, you know, let's go get checked at the ER. So I go to the ER, and well, first of all, I had Wilson. I felt like I needed to get there, so I called my grandparents and was like, hey, can you watch them? Because, you know, they're always home. They're like 90. And so I drop them off there, go get gas, and then I head to the hospital. And as soon as I got out of the car, I stood up and gushed, more blood starting now. So much blood. I was wearing black leggings, and I just felt like the outside of the leggings just dripping down my leg. I was like, oh my gosh. And so I finally get in there. There was only about 2 people in the emergency room. If you've ever been to the ER, you know that sometimes it's crazy in there. And I'm standing there, and I'm like bleeding. I can just feel it just coming, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I mean, I knew at that point what was going on, but you still have hope because you just don't know. And so I look down, and there's just blood dripping. And at that point, I got really, really, really scared. So I go to the bathroom, try to clean myself up, but it was just so much, and it was like more, you know, TMI, or I don't know, trigger warning, I don't know what to say. Just clots and a lot of stuff. And so I was really, at that point I knew what was happening, but I just tried to stay really hopeful, because the last time when I was 5 weeks, like, it was okay. This was obviously way more than when at 5 weeks. Anyway, they get me, I go up to finally check in. I was in line and I had to get out because I was like, I have to clean up. And anyway, I get to the lady, and I could barely get it out. Because I just knew kind of in that moment what was happening. And I was talking to her, and you know, my birth date, whatever. So finally I get checked in, and they get my blood drawn. I do all that. Blood pressure. My blood pressure was really high. Obviously, I'm like freaking out. They do my blood, and then they tell me to go take urine thing. Finally, Bobby gets there with pants. I didn't tell him to come until I was profusely bleeding. Before I checked in. He got there like pretty quickly after they checked me in. But anyway, I went to go get a urine test, and I go into the bathroom, try to fill the cup, and just like every time I would stand up or go to the bathroom, it just would like the sound of that is really terrible. Just coming out, and you know, I tried to take in a big clot, and I couldn't. And anyway, so I finally get my sample of urine, whatever. And they're like, okay, we send you out to the waiting room, and then we'll have a doctor with you. The ER was really busy still, even though there's not that many people in the waiting room, but they get me back there, and it's just in the hallway. I'm just sitting in the hallway. But I have to have a pad under me because I'm just bleeding. And Bobby's with me, and we're just sitting there waiting. I was in there for 6 hours, and most of it was just waiting. They didn't have a room, they didn't have anything, but obviously at this point I knew that I had lost the baby. It was 9 weeks and 5 days, so I would be 10 weeks today. I didn't feel any pain physically. I just was bleeding. No cramping, no lightheadedness, no sharp pain, nothing, just bleeding. Something that I'm trying to really focus on. When something like this happens, it's hard to see where God is good, and it's hard to remember that He is good. So I'm trying to focus on the things where I've seen His hand in this, because that's the only thing I can do to feel good about it, and to remember that. Anyway, we're sitting in there, and I see this lady walk by. I'm like, that's my postpartum nurse. And we loved our postpartum nurse when I gave birth to my son Wilson. We loved them. We always talk about her. She was so great. And I see her, and we're like, hi. We're like, we'll call her over. And I was in a good mood. Like, I was still in a hopeful state. Not super hopeful, but I was like, you never know. You just never know. There could be something else completely wrong. This could have nothing to do with being pregnant. And, you know, she just ended up remembering us. And we're like, we loved you. We thought you were so great. And she's like, so why are you guys here? And I was like, well, I'm supposed to be 9 weeks pregnant, but I'm bleeding a lot. And she just really took care of me and checked on me. And I mean, she came over, and you know, they're not supposed to give you all this information when you're there, but she let me know my HCG was actually at 30,000. So it could be a couple things. You know, could not be as bad. I don't think she saw how much I was bleeding. But anyway, I don't even know where I'm going with this whole story. I'm just telling you what has happened. And I don't even know what is going to be happening moving forward from this. But anyway, this is just the day, so I'm just going through the day. But anyway, so she was there, and that was something where I can see how God was taking care of me in that. At this point, I'm just sitting there waiting for an ultrasound. If she could do the ultrasound for me, but they wanted an ultrasound tech to do it and all this stuff. But she was just the best. She's like, well, okay, tell them if you want me to come back with you, I will. All this stuff. She's just really great. And so I was like, okay, so we're sitting there waiting, and finally they get me into the ultrasound, and I was in there for about an hour. They did it on my tummy, and then they did it transvaginal. And when you get in, Bobby couldn't be with me at this point. So when I get into the ultrasound room, you know, I just know what has happened. And she tells me, she's like, you know, I cannot tell you things. And just letting you know, the doctor has to be the one to tell you this information. Which I'm just like, that's so weird. But, you know, she did end up telling me some things. I'm looking at the monitor, and I say, I know you're not supposed to tell me anything, but I know I don't see a baby. I've had healthy ultrasounds, so I know that there's no baby where it's supposed to be. And she's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. I don't see a baby anywhere. which I knew, but I thought maybe you'd be able to see the baby and she would be able to tell me, I'm sorry, the baby's passed, there's no heartbeat. Because I wanted to, so anyway, she just didn't see the baby, and we never got, my appointment was supposed to be a couple days after this has happened, and, you know, I was obviously so looking forward to going to see my baby and hear their heartbeat for the first time, and we never got that. And there's two sides to that. One side is that's probably good, and I feel like it's made this news and this what's happened a little bit easier, because I never saw a healthy baby and a healthy baby's heartbeat, because I think that would make this a lot harder. But also, a part of me wanted to know so bad. I would have really liked to see the baby. I didn't, even know if the baby had passed at like 7 weeks, or I just don't know. There's a little, like, I just don't know what this baby's little life, how long it was, or not knowing what happened. And just thinking about, we were so excited to go see this baby for the first time and see if it was a boy or a girl, at some point down the line. But at 10 weeks, I know people can do blood tests and all that. But so a part of me really longs for a little tiny picture of my baby. But I do truly think that the fact that I didn't see the baby ever being healthy helps with me processing and grieving and healing from this, because the only thing that I can make sense of is that this baby wasn't going to be healthy. And I know that that's a lot of times why miscarriages happen, because there's something genetically or whatever wrong with the baby. My nurse reminded me of that, because I don't even know what I would have been thinking. Anyway, she was, reminding me that this happens a lot of times because this baby wouldn't have been a healthy baby. And so I know that that's a good thing, and I would have hated to have the genetic testing done at this point, when we're 10 weeks, what I was maybe about to do, and then them tell me something was wrong with our baby, and then I would have had to make a decision, and I wouldn't have been able to make a decision on what to do with an unhealthy or seemingly unhealthy baby. So I know that I can just only think that it was a good, I never want to say it's a good thing, but I would have rather this happened than me have to just make a decision hearing if my baby was unhealthy, because I wouldn't have been able to make a decision. I was so close to being out of the first trimester, 12 weeks, so close. And I had all the symptoms, morning sickness, so hungry. I already gained my 5 pounds that I gained with Wilson in the first couple weeks with him. I gained 5 pounds, and then I already gained 5 pounds in the first couple weeks, which is the exact same pattern, because I just get so hungry. And another part of this, if you're going through miscarriage or something, I asked my nurse was, how long am I going to have symptoms for? And she was telling me that because I have passed so much and they didn't see a baby, that hopefully my symptoms will go away right away. And they did. The next day after what happened, I wasn't hungry, which could be, from grief, but also I just felt like my normal, like not nauseous. I was drinking coffee, didn't feel like eating for, most of the day, which is pretty normal for me. I mean, I eat food, but I mean, like, when I'm pregnant, I, have to eat bagels, 5 times a day. And my stomach's already flat again. And I definitely had a bump, when you suck in, when you're pregnant, and you can see just really the bump, not just, all of that bloat. So I just am praying that my body is healing. That's what that means, and that's what all is happening. And that's the only thing that I keep saying the only thing I can find, but I don't know, I'm trying to make sense of what's happened and trying to find the good in it. Anyway, moving on from the rest of the night, I guess I didn't end with how it ended, but I got my ultrasound. It was about an hour, and it's just really confusing because, you know, the nurse comes back before she discharged me, my actual nurse, my postpartum nurse that I had known. She just was like kind of, I don't know what she was doing, just walking around the whole thing, but she wasn't like my assigned nurse. But she just was really checking on me and making sure that people were taking care of me, and like that people were giving me updates on what was going on, because I was sitting there for 6 hours, most of the time just sitting, bleeding, just sitting in the ER, in the hallway. Other people are just walking by me, and I'm losing a baby, so that was hard. But anyway, they discharge me and they say, okay, talk to your OB in 2 days and we'll see if your HCG goes down. But we're not ruling out ectopic pregnancy or miscarriage, or these are like I don't even know. It's like my OB has to confirm it or something. So I left feeling like, okay, so I don't have an ectopic pregnancy. At this point, I feel like I still don't know. I mean, I guess I haven't had any sharp pain. So I'm just assuming that I don't. But I have had shoulder pain for like a month, so that's kind of a weird coincidence. But anyway, I'm supposed to go get my blood drawn next week to see if my HCG has gone down. And that's where we're at right now with that. So maybe I'll give an update, because I don't think I'll post this before I go get my blood drawn. And so my hope and my prayer, and if you pray, please pray that everything is fine and get pregnant soon. I feel like still like I want to get, if I could get pregnant today, I would. And that's like that's just where I'm at. I don't know, this video I feel like might have been all over the place, but I'm just trying, you know, that's just the story of what happened and how I lost the baby. And I'm still bleeding, light, very light, like just small amount, but still bleeding. It's been hard. I haven't been, you know, picking up Wilson that much. People have been watching him right now. My mom was with me all day yesterday, and then Bobby's mom is watching him today. So we have help, which is really, really great. It's just kind of where we're at. So I don't know. I pray that this video is somewhat of a comfort, or just something to you if you've gone through this or you're going through this. Message me on Instagram, or if you've gone through it, I would love to hear, you know, your story, how things are going, because I feel like I'm finding a lot of comfort in listening to other people's situations. And I'm also finding hope in that, because a lot of them do have another baby after or soon after. And my nurse even said, you know, usually if your goal is to get pregnant after miscarriage, my camera stopped recording for a second there, but so your body is usually somewhat ready to conceive, or it's easier to conceive within that first, like the month after. Anyway, something like that. I don't know how it works, but that is our hope and our goal. And so just be praying for that for us, because I mean, I was just really looking forward. The due date was June 9th. I was really looking forward to that. And I don't feel mad or, you know, jealous. I don't know the right word. I've seen other people's pregnancy announcement. I still feel joy for those people, and I just am really, I have faith that we will have a healthy pregnancy soon, or at least again, but I hope it's sooner than later. I love being pregnant, and I love being a mom, and I've always wanted a lot of kids. So something like this is like your worst fear for anyone, even if you don't want a lot of kids, but you never want to go through this. I never want to go through it again. And even at 5 weeks when I thought I lost the baby, I was like, I never wanted that to happen. I never. That pain is something I don't want to feel, but I already felt it for like 3 hours. I felt that pain. But it's weird now. I'm just processing and it just doesn't really feel real. And I'm just like not sure how to feel. And that's what I just decided to make this video and try to process it. I just want to be in a good mindset and healthy for Wilson. And I feel like so many people have been praying for us that I really do feel a supernatural peace and presence that only God could give me in this situation, because this is my worst nightmare and I am mentally feeling okay. But this is only, a couple days after. I know it'll be hard when the waiting periods happen and between finding out if you're pregnant or not and trying to be pregnant. I know that will be hard. It just is hard. And now I feel like it's hard for me to trust my body again, because having such a healthy pregnancy with Wilson. And I know this isn't everyone's situation, but obviously, and I feel so thankful we got pregnant the first time with Wilson, and then this was also our first month of trying with this baby, and we had gotten pregnant, which I know is so not everyone's situation, and I feel so thankful that it was. And obviously it didn't end how I wanted this pregnancy to end, but I'm praying that will happen again. But I would love to talk to y'all if you if you want to share your experience in the comments or on Instagram in my messages or whatever. Yeah, so I'm just keeping all the women in my prayers that are trying to conceive or have lost a baby, because it's really painful. Yeah, so hopefully soon I will have more happy news to share at some point. And yeah, so thank you for watching, even though this was really long and sad. So I will see y'all in one of my next videos.